All right, welcome back, ladies, gentle ladies, everybody out there, all you wheelers, campers, hikers, whatever you're doing out there in the outdoors. We love it. We love hearing about it. We are here for you today with David Adami here from ICECO. So, how the hell are you, David?
Dude, I'm doing well. I'm super stoked to be here and I've heard a lot about the show, so I'm excited to just chat it up with you guys.
I'm sure everything you've heard has been just amazing stuff, right? We're the we like to say we're the best off-road podcast in Western Sacramento, California that focuses on rock crawling, and
Awesome.
nobody can
Yeah.
beat us. So that's
And I feel like there's not enough of this, right? So I love that there's platforms like this for you guys to just like, chop shop and like kind of mess around and this is awesome. So
sweet,
props
man.
to you guys.
Thanks, dude. So you obviously you work with ICECO, which does a lot of refrigeration products in outdoor lifestyle, outdoor recreation. I found out from talking with you at Overland SoCal that you guys do a lot of OEM contracts too, which is pretty cool. What do you exactly do with ICECO? What's your job here? Why are we talking to you today?
Sweet. So yeah, I am the marketing director for US operations. But we do have like a lot of other things going on around the world globally. So um, a week has passed now. So there was a big show in Germany, which we've worked with a few of those guys out there, Genesis Import. We've got Japan and a bunch of other areas that we work with. So, but my general focus is relationships and partnerships, activations with some of our like larger marketing campaigns. So yeah, just kind of help steer the boat in the right direction and make it exciting for the brand and the fans and the community that we have. So I really just focus on making this fun and authentic.
That's cool. Yeah. How long have you been with ICECO now?
It's been about 2 years now. So
Okay.
previously, before this, I was actually with a rooftop tent company. So,
Okay.
um, and if we want to even dive a little bit further back into that, I was a big like DJ artist before that. So, this was all pre-COVID. So after COVID happened, I was just like, got to figure out a different lane and
Mm-hmm.
because there was no music events happening anymore,
Yep.
during
Right.
COVID, right?
Mhm.
So everything shut
Yeah.
down. And my pops was a mechanic and I never thought about getting into the car world. I just always loved cars. And then met a buddy that had an FJ just like mine. I have an FJ Cruiser. So started doing FJ runs and he was like, "Hey dude, like have this business and I'd love for you to kind of help me, just start it up and get it going." And that's a long story shorter, which you can ask me any questions about, but that's how I ultimately got to ICECO from the rooftop tent company that I was working with for I don't know, about 3, 4 years. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, yeah,
Pretty cool. I mean, the whole world fucking changed with COVID, man. Everything shut down, and the only thing we really had to do, got to do, was go outside, right? And I think that it
yeah,
opened up a lot of doors. I think it changed a ton of lives. Sounds like it definitely changed yours. Uh,
right. I
and
wish
it's
I took advantage of more of the gas prices. It's like the gas prices were like at it was like almost $3 or less than $3. I wish I would have went further, So,
Mhm.
we could have done a Montana trip, maybe go to Yellowstone or,
Yeah.
I wish I did some longer trips at that time, but
Where do you live? Where's
yeah.
home for you?
So currently I'm sitting in New York right now, but home is actually in California still. So I live in Long Beach area. So not too far away from our current office, which is stationed in Brea, California. That's like
Okay.
Orange
Nice.
County area. So yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool automotive aftermarket accessory companies and
yes,
vendors and manufacturers based out of Southern California. It's a nice little hotbed.
I call
Uh,
it Tornado Alley. It's like there's just like a little lane of like from like Irvine down all the way up to like where we're at. That there's
yeah.
just a mixture. Like Riverside has a huge
Mhm.
collection of like these different manufacturers, like Icons up there, Icon Dynamics. I think got like Carvin exhaust. You got like even I think Magnaflows down there, Total Chaos. There's just a bunch of dudes that are IBOC suspensions up there. So
Yeah.
got a bunch of guys that are just kind of in that area.
Do you think that's more due to how much off-roading and OHV recreation is in SoCal, or
Is
is it
accessible,
just
yeah.
accessible? You think so? I was
Hmm.
thinking that maybe it's more. I don't want to say more. It's also due to the easy access to the LA ports. It's just everything comes in right there too, and you guys are right
That's
there.
true. That's true. I mean, but we have so much, right? Like in our back door, we have Big Bear. It's ironic. We're going to be doing an event coming up with Super Winch and Weston and XComp.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
it's called Surf and Turf. So, you can literally go to the beach and then go golfing in the same day. So that's what that event's about is, the getting some of the lead industry guys together and go surfing in the morning and then go golfing in the afternoon. And that's the epitome of what like California has to offer,
Yeah.
especially with like our off-road community. You
Yeah.
can go out to the you can go out to the desert and then go to the snow in the same day, during the right season, of course, but it's that's what's really awesome about what's available in our backyard. So,
Yeah. Up here in NorCal, we're from the Sierras to the coast is about 2-3 hour drive or so. Um, and so there, I always kind of joke around when I was doing a lot of whitewater rafting, I was able to go skiing, whitewater rafting and end at the beach all in one
wow.
day.
You still do
And
that? Whitewater rafting?
if I get the opportunity to, I will definitely go out. I haven't been in maybe a year and a half now.
It's like I think like one of the highest percentaged dangerous sports, right? Like or dangerous activities. Like death rates are pretty high in whitewater rafting.
It's a much more risky outdoor recreation activity than compared to a lot of others for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a spot. I think it's oh my gosh. It is Kern River. You ever done Kern River?
I have not done
That's a very I've heard a lot of stories about Kern
yes.
River, and that's a
There,
really dangerous area.
there's a massive hole in the Kern River that at high flows, you they close I don't say they close the river, but like all the raft companies are like we're not doing any trips
At this time. Yeah.
at this time because this hole will literally take a 4 or 5,000 pound gear boat and flip it end over end, 15 to 20 foot gear boat. And I've seen it happen. The videos of a guide in the company I was working for was doing a guided trip, and endoed a 4,000 pound gear boat, 18 footer, just end over end like it was a toy in that hole. It's
Insane.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the person gets
Definitely.
shoved to the bottom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He held on to the boat underneath
Oh,
it and
jeez.
waited until it kind of worked its way out. But yeah, it was yeah. I've swam a tunnel chute, which is a famous rapid up here on the Middle Fork of the American River, and it's essentially it should be named Chute Tunnel, but
Yeah.
you come down this chute and there's a 8 foot drop at the end of it after really narrow. It's barely wide enough for a boat to get down, and it makes this kind of like cockeyed turn at the end. And if you don't hit that properly, you go over this 8 foot drop and the boat goes all askew. Well, I came in one time and got launched over the 8 foot drop and went down into the drop and got recirculated. I don't know how many times, 3 or 4 times. When I finally popped out, I was in the tunnel. That's like 50 to 70 feet downstream of the chute. So
That's extreme.
it's fun. It's if you like doing that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
I mean, lakes and rivers I love. I'm not much of a water guy. I'm a really good swimmer, actually, ironically, but I will never do the ocean.
Yeah.
But some of the whitewater rafting has a lot of those currents, and
Mhm.
not that it's a trauma, but growing up, I had an incident where I think I was like Huntington Beach area or around that area. I was too young to remember, but I do remember that I went out and I got sucked in by a riptide when I
Oh,
was young, and just from that moment on, I just never really liked going to the ocean. And
yeah.
the like some of those water rafting, those carry the same kind of forces with those currents. So
Mhm. Yep.
those things are pretty gnarly for sure. So
Yeah, riptides are in my opinion so much scarier than whitewater
okay,
and rivers, just because you get ripped out to the open ocean. At least if a river, you can kind of, if you know how to deal with the whitewater and swim and survive in whitewater, eventually you'll pop out into a pool or get hung up on a rock or something, and be able to get yourself to safety. Out if you're
yeah,
going out to the open ocean,
just break a
you're
leg on a rock, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather break my leg on a rock or my hip on a rock or something than get dragged out to the open ocean, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get eaten by a shark or something, So that's
Exactly.
always one of my fears, but
Yeah.
that's sweet.
I was a collegiate swimmer, and I was in a riptide one time when I was younger, probably in high school or something.
Jeez.
And I was just head down, full force. let's go as fast. Like, let's get to the ocean or to the beach, you know, just power through it. And I got to the end, you know, and I got to the beach and everything. The lifeguard came up and he's like, man, I've been watching you for like an hour swim against that riptide.
Like, dude, help me out, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
and he's, you know, and he was like, you know, if you just turn 45 degrees, like in a river, right, you swim out of it. And I was like, yeah, you know, in the moment, I was just like, I got to get to the beach.
And that is true, right? Like, I think swimming on at a 40-degree angle away from the beach gets you closer, right? Okay.
Yeah,
That's what I was been told. Yeah.
Gets you out of the riptide while minimizing getting pulled out by the riptide.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's information I wish I knew, which is why we're here, right? We're here to share this kind of like important life-saving stuff, you know, because you know, when you really need to know it and save your life, this is what you need to remember: is that 40 degrees when you're in the ocean, in case you know. So.
Yeah. Same with crossing a river, and not quite the same as keeping our beer cold, but you know, it's just as important.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But ICECO has tools for that, so that's why we got you here. So
right, and we do that really well. So we've been doing that for about 20 plus years now. So
nice.
Yeah.
What was the genesis behind ICECO? Was it just having a portable refrigerator for drinks and food and stuff, or was there something else that kind of started it and the refrigerators, I guess the recreation refrigerators kind of morphed out of it? What started ICECO?
You know what? I don't know if I know that full story now that I'm here, but what I do know is that, you know, what we do, we manufacture, right? So we have the ability of manufacturing, and for quite some time we have been I like to kind of classify it in like 3 stages of ICECO. When I say 20 plus years, we have started in the 20 plus years of manufacturing when we started in OEM, kind of like, you know, what we had talked about. So, you know, we started working with big car manufacturers and working with it being implemented directly into OEM appliances. Some of the cars are different overseas than they are here. So some cars feature different accessories or products. So the second layer, though, is, you know, we've done quite a bit working or collaborating with other brands, like white labeling, essentially. So we've done that for quite some time. And then
as in you guys are manufacturing the white labeled products that other brands are buying from you and putting their brand on it, kind of thing?
That is correct.
Okay, cool.
That's correct. And then on the third side of that, or the third layer, we have ICECO, which has essentially been an accumulation of everything that we've learned over the 20 years of working in the industry, and being able to just deliver the best possible product that we can, right? So, you know, we looked at a bunch of different things, you know, the actual quality of the shells that we're using. So we have done plastic in the past, or even rotomolded, which I'm going to hint to something later down the line. So, you know, there potentially will be something coming in the near future that you guys can expect this year. I'll talk maybe a little bit more about it afterwards, but so essentially we've worked with different finishes and different qualities, but essentially what you see now in ICECO is going to be that, you know, aluminum or stainless. There's 3 materials that we really use in our line. It's going to be aluminum, it's going to be 304 stainless steel, or it's going to be essentially sheet metal, which is also steel. But you'll see a mixture of those 3 materials across the board with all of our products. But then, yeah, there's just a bunch of different things that have really made ICECO a standout product when it comes to what's also inside, right? Because not only are we delivering the quality outside, but we're also delivering the quality on the inside. So we're using a pretty well-known and famous product on the inside, which is called the SECOP compressor. The SECOP compressor is made in Germany. We're one of SECOP's largest Patreons when it comes to purchasing that particular product. And that has to do with like a lot of the OEM that we work with. So either way, what that really means is the actual name and the quality has been tried and tested. You know, we actually produce and working on making our own, but right now we've found that one's like really awesome. So we're finding ways to continue innovating, optimizing, and just pushing the industry and pushing what these fridges can do, which is exactly what I want to talk about, is like those SECOPs. You know, I've personally grew up doing like racing, you know, camping at every single level. I've had, you know, the little tents that you know, run the little tubes through, and you know, now we have the Gazelle tents, and you don't have to do those anymore. But you know, I've done, you know, every single level of camping, right, where we've had just a little soft bag cooler, and you know, you bring out your little one burner stove, and you know, we didn't have all this like crazy overland stuff like how we had before back in the days.
Mhm.
So we just had like a little Coleman, and we just figured out, you know, our camp situation, and we just parked on the side of a road somewhere. So
Yeah.
you know, we didn't have capable vehicles yet. So these fridges are really awesome with being able to keep things capable. So the compressors have the special ability of a few different things. It has a special ability of being able to articulate up to 40 degrees while in operation. So you can see how this can be really important or essential when guys are trying to push their vehicles to the extreme and going into these different places, whether it's rock crawling or whether it's overlanding or even racing. You know, I've had the opportunity of working with a couple of guys at the King of the Hammers or even the Ultra 4 side of things. So shout out to one of our guys, Crossland Chuck. He's in the 4400 class. So we've thrown like one of our APL 20s on his truck for the actual race. So he's pre-ran with that refrigerator and been able to put that through the test for the last few years. And it's been working awesome. So he's actually, yeah, I want to, yeah, I definitely want to give him credit because he's been kind of the grandfather to some of the ideas that we've had recently. Like one of the ones that we've done with PRP. We've done a PRP X ICECO release, and
Yeah.
that was essentially, he will hate me for saying this, but he was the granddad or grandfather for that. And he's like, don't say that, it makes me sound old. But you know, but yeah, he gave us the idea to do the racing inserts and being able to essentially bring a fridge to the racing market for like the UTV guys and the guys that are trying to push it a little bit further without having to take a cooler, right? Because you know, when you got ice in a refrigerator, the ice is great. So when it comes to when I talk about different products, I love everything for different reasons. Even like our like competitors, I think they make different things for different reasons, and it's more of like picking what's best for your situation.
Priorities or what you're trying to do. Yeah.
Right. And so I think that we just focus and hone in on a few things that we know our customers are looking for, but specifically with coolers, you know, coolers are great. I still use coolers to this day, most times for just drinks, but I use my fridge a lot for food. But the coolers, you could take a 30-liter cooler, but essentially when you put ice in it, now that's become almost like a 25 or 20-liter cooler, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because now you're filling that space, and then you don't really get the same consistency throughout the whole cooler because either the ice is on the top or it's at the
Mm-hmm.
bottom, and then that melts, and then you get, you know,
Doesn't that
waterlogged
make it
food, right?
essentially a dynamic zone ice chest? That's really what that means, right?
Right. Yeah, essentially.
That's how it gets marketed and advertised.
Exactly. So I mean, it's just yeah, to each their own, right? It's like
Yeah.
what is it that you're using? So like for drinks, I think it works great, but for food, coolers have their limitations, I think. So
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, there's just tons of exciting things that we're trying to push the limit to when it comes to racing, rock crawling. You know,
So
we're
real
even
quick, I want to get
yeah.
back to the compressors.
Oh yeah, sure.
You, when talking with you down at Overland SoCal, I didn't realize that. I just thought a refrigeration compressor is a refrigeration compressor. I didn't realize that there's different things,
Kinds of
different
them.
features,
Yeah.
different kinds that they do different things. And so you were saying, we already mentioned the SECOP has an articulated up to 40 degrees, which is amazing for off-roaders.
Can I interject right there?
Yeah.
I have a competitor fridge. I loaded it up into my truck the other day and I plugged it in and it told me error. And I was like, is it because I articulated it
More than
so
40?
much to lift it up into my off-road rig?
I don't think so, but
I don't know.
it's possible. But you know, like there's a few different things, right? Because you think about like your home refrigerator, you're not really supposed to be tilting that while it's
Yeah.
running.
Mhm.
So some of these compressors have different levels of capabilities. So specifically, like the one I'm talking about is a one that's commonly used in a lot of the bigger brands that we all know. I won't mention all of them, but essentially the bigger brands are all using this. The only problem with this particular compressor is that it's really expensive. So it costs a lot for, you know, for this to be inside of those. So some of the bigger brands that you notice have like really high price tags can be kind of an indication that it may be using that. But you know, do your research and make sure you're looking at things. A lot of things have changed over the years, with people, different companies trying to save costs and money on different things, where we have been very steadfast, or we've held our ground in keeping the quality and the price point for our customers. So they get the quality, they get a price point that's affordable, with a warranty that they can trust. So we've tried to stay true to that, on our side, and while still innovating and pushing the limit. So those compressors, I haven't really even talked all about the compressors yet. I mean, the compressors have a few other features. That specific one is really special in the energy efficiency section or division. So out of all the compressors that we've had or ever tested, this one just seems to have the best efficiency rating. So if you're one of those guys that you're wanting to maximize your trip and get the most out of your fridges, it doesn't have to be ours, but I'm just saying, like, the SECOP specifically is one of those special compressors that just does really well with energy consumption when it comes to voltage or wattages. It's really good.
Do you know the wattage ratings of those compressors compared to other popular compressors, and how much more efficient it would be running, kind of thing?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we manufacture and we test our own in-house. We've tested others. Like I said, the SECOP one seems to be one of the best ones we've tested. But I can give you some like general wattages for ours, and then you can kind of compare some other ones too. But for example, like a 45 liter VL, let's say a VL Pro 45 liter, will generally draw around that like 40 to 50 watt range. It could even go a little bit lower. It just depends. So there's going to be a few things I'm going to discuss here or mention. There's a lot of different factors that play into all that, right? Because it depends on where you have it. Is it sitting in the middle of the desert in baking sun, right?
Yeah.
Or is it in a cool spot? Are you opening and closing it a lot? That all depends on how much the compressor's having to work, right? So those are some different factors that can play into what will happen with the compressor and how much it's drawing. Of
40
course,
to 50 watts is pretty good, though. I think
it's pretty good. Yeah.
Most other compressors, I say fridges that are in that 45 liter kind of range, are usually pulling upwards of 55 to 70 watts running. So you're looking at a 40% reduction in
yeah,
power
I would say when I look at different wattages between other fridges, I would say we're consistently about easily 10 to 15 watts lower consistently. But I do want to mention something very important to, like our audience that is also watching, that, the wattages that I'm talking about are sort of running wattages, right? So not startup wattages. So startup wattages are always going to fluctuate depending on what temperature you set it to, what ambient temperature is inside the refrigerator. So if it's already hot inside, the refrigerator is going to have to work really hard to get it down to the temperature you set it to. If it's like 20 degrees or 30 degrees and the ambient temperature inside is like 70 degrees or something.
Yeah.
That's why we always recommend, before people go out on their trips, put it in your house, like next to your kitchen, before you start loading up things, and plug it in. We always recommend like a pre-chill process or a pre-cool process. So just get the refrigerator down to temperature so that, when you actually remove it from your house and put it in your car, it's already down at that level that you need it at. And once you plug it into like your portable power station or whatever you have in your car, it doesn't have to continue draining so much from your battery packs. So that's always an important like little tip I would love to share to people whenever they ask, is do a pre-chill before you go out, before you go on your trip.
I think both of us do that. I go in the night before, as we're packing for all of our food. That's one of the last things we kind of put together, but we'll put it all in the fridge and have it sitting connected to the house to get down to that 34, 33 degrees before the morning of. Then we move it to the vehicle, kind of thing.
Exactly.
I'm sure Jimmy has a similar process for.
Yeah, I do. The day that I'm packing, it's the first thing I bring into the house, and I park it right next to my fridge, and there's another outlet, a house outlet right there. So I plug it in and let it cool before I move anything in. And I do want to say, I know that we're on, refrigeration topic, but that is still an excellent tip if you're just using a cooler, is throw a few ice packs in there, bring it down to temperature, take those used ice packs out and then put your food in new ice packs in.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
but,
Correct.
I mean, it's funny because it's like a lot of these things that I had or tricks and trades, that I was doing with a cooler, I'm still doing with the fridge. It totally carries over. It just is making it more optimal. It's not wasting
Exactly.
power. It's not making, you're not draining your batteries in any way because
Right.
you're pre-cooling.
Yeah, I think you're just getting some of those luxuries, right? That you would, you're starting to. I think we're all starting to get used to, right? When we're going out, is like how much longer can we stay out on trips? How quick
Mhm.
can we get from point A to point B? When we're coming in and out of different campgrounds throughout the weekend. I think speed and efficiency is the name of the game when it comes to what we do. None of us want to be out there like spending like an hour or two tearing down a campground. We just want to get to the next spot. So I think that is one more step that makes things more efficient. You don't have to go back to the store to get ice. You don't have to continue worrying about like if your food's going to waterlog or your ice is going to melt into your food in the cooler. So it's just one of those steps that makes it a luxury, when you're going out.
I will say, it seems like Jimmy and I had a listener call in and ask us about what kind of food we liked to eat out on trips. And Jimmy and I aren't big foodies when we're out on trips. We're going out there to rock crawl and get to a lake and just relax. We don't
Right.
like to sit around and cook all the time. But we've definitely noticed over the past few years that is like probably the main activity that people love to do when they're going out and camping out in a forest or out by a lake or wherever they are out in a desert. And being able to get to these really fucking cool environments and know that your food isn't going to spoil, it's not going to be all soggy wet, and you can really enjoy having this really fun opportunity that a lot of people like to enjoy of cooking a pretty badass meal out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest things that impacts that I've seen from refrigerators in the overlanding or off-road world lately is that it allows people to go out and go on more trips, longer trips, and have these really fun adventures cooking and centered around being a foodie out in the environment. So
Yeah, and I mean, just to even touch on a little bit of that topic, I've noticed a lot of new sort of like subcategories popping up, like we call it like adventure, like, and I'm specifically talking like in the UTV world, adventure riding. So like, got a couple guys like at PRP that are going to like the Rubicon and doing like rock crawling, but essentially it's just like rock crawling but overlanding kind of thing, right? Where it's like rock landing, right?
Yeah.
It's like that's a new thing now. It's like you're not just day tripping anymore. You're getting to the destination, especially with a trail like the Rubicon, or when you're going out to some of those are kind of like multi-day trips. You're not just, back when I was starting off my off-road journey, we would go hit those like off-road or even rock crawling trips or trails just for the day and come back home, right? But we are seeing a lot more of those like rock landing or, adventure riding kind of situations where, we have guys that have, a full Razor platform, like a Pro R platform that's a 4-seater, and they specifically bought that one just to delete the rear seats and put their refrigerators and storage. And it's like we're seeing a lot of this changing, in the industry right now. So and that's something that I also want to make obvious, because I know that we even have like a rock crawling community here with you guys. What ICECO does isn't an overland fridge, right? And I think people sometimes get a little intimidated by the fact that it's like not a cooler, because they're like they've never wrapped their head around something that's not a cooler, right? Because that's all they've known, right? They've only known a cooler. So when they look at this, they're like, well, how do I use it? Like, where am I putting this? And I'm like, well, it's like it's like your cooler, but it's just electric, right? So it still can be used in your rock crawlers. It can still use in your Polaris and go racing and jump off the dunes, whatever you want to do with it. So it's something that we're seeing a lot more, and those are a lot of the channels that we subtly see people use our products in, and we're going to be doing a lot more effort to promote that to people, to let people know, like, hey, you can use this for rock crawling, and you can use this for fishing, boating, hunting, go to the beach with your kids, whatever you really want to do. So we've got some pretty new, exciting products that are coming out this year that I think will help promote those ideals or ideas for those people. So.
Tailgating's another
tailgating, sports tailgating.
Yeah, I have 3 fridges. So, but we have a
Nice.
really small one that came with a trailer that we purchased, and we pull it out every once in a while and put it in my wife's car so that when she goes to the grocery store, she can put the
Mhm.
cold goods in there, and she's not limited to being like, I have to make the grocery store my last stop so that I have to go home. It could be her first stop, and then the fridge is going to keep everything cold the entire time while she's out running all of her other errands, and then she can come home. So it could be more of a, you don't have to worry about
Freedom of
your
schedule.
route.
and
Yeah,
that's it,
freedom
yeah.
of schedule, or because it's in a fridge. I bought it from the store, I put it in a fridge, and now I can go do whatever I need to do.
I
Yeah.
can't tell
And
you how many times I've heard, like my friends or close partners have told me like whenever we've like gifted them fridges for their like specific builds for shows, they're like, yeah, my wife stole my fridge and
yeah,
now I need another one, So
yeah,
I've heard that I
Yeah.
don't know how many times now where the wives kind of catch on and they see how cool this is. They can do their grocery run and then go to the makeup store or clothing
yeah.
store and not have to worry about running back home
Yeah.
to throw their stuff in the refrigerator because everything's inside the car. So
Yeah.
I've seen it more times than not for sure. So it can go, and I think that's such an awesome thing to touch on is that it can go as far right or far left as meaning that the extreme or the even like the entry
Day-to-day
level of
life.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
just daily life, right?
Mhm.
It's you can use it for pretty much anything you need to. So we're gonna definitely be having some new product there that will help with that like daily life
Okay.
stuff. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you don't realize how much you like it or need it until you actually have it. Right? Everybody has had coolers or has coolers today, right? And goes like, "Yeah, I know how to use a cooler." But then once you get this thing that it plugs into your car and it can always keep things cold, you're like, "Oh, wait, I could always have cold water in my car. Like I could always have a chilled soda or whatever. I can just throw my groceries in there. I can it ends up being a part of the car, which is actually kind of neat that you guys sort of started at OEM applications with some of these features, and then now you make these coolers for the outdoor community. But it seems like a lot of the outdoor community is now putting them back into their OEM vehicles.
Yep,
Have 'em.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And we have such a high percentage of people who own multiple fridges, like you mentioned, right? Like when I look at some of the numbers, it's commonly or an average of 2 or more fridges that they own per customer. So, people just like having their, they like having their snacks nearby. So, we offer some, and sometimes that could be a little bit intimidating when you're looking at our line because we have I mean, it's like I think over like 40 SKUs that are on the website. You're like, well, which fridge is for me? And it's like that's so hard for me to tell you which fridge is for you because I have to like ask you about what your rig is and like what you want to use it for. Where you plan to take it. Do you need dual zone? Do you need single zone?
Mhm.
What is it you need? So, we've noticed as people start to like get a little bit more or they build up their confidence in what they're doing in their hobby as they start getting into like the more advanced levels, they start figuring out how they can use their fridges and their builds. Because we have some of the guys who have been here for a while, and we're noticing a trend where people are starting to use our RV fridges for their overland builds now. They're using the
Yeah.
like upright drawer, almost like the mini fridge style
Yeah.
into their like drawer systems and starting to build it that way. So it's like sky's the limit, which
Yeah.
when it comes to how you want to build that out. And that's also something that we have is our RV line as well. So building into those RVs and doing those like cabinet style fridges, we have those available. So, and we also have like our IPT20, which goes directly into the F-150 models. So that will keep you from having to get out of your truck. So while you're driving, you could just reach back and grab what you're looking for in your back seat and not have to go to your fridge in the back of your truck. So that's why we've seen a common trend of people having multiple fridges with their setups. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. What kind of stuff do you guys do in the OEM applications? Um,
That one I don't know as much of, and I don't know if I have the liberty to talk about too much of that.
okay.
But I don't have too much information to share either way on the OEM side. So like so we work in different departments. Like I said, my general focus is going to be North America, at least for
Yeah.
me. So
Yeah.
I work in Canada. I work in, of course, like our general U.S. Like United States, and then even a little bit of like below that, some of the South America stuff, but Mostly North America is my general focus. So even Hawaii, Alaska, those are all places that we're expanding to and having more support there for some of the people who may be interested in that. Because Hawaii and Alaska is generally a hard place for most brands or manufacturers to support. So we're going to be having some more support there very soon.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What about like some of the new stuff? You guys have kind of been launching quite a few different products this year, and I've seen a lot of
Yeah.
kind of ad teasers for more
Right.
products coming out.
Yeah.
You know, some of the ones that have kind of caught my eye, and I'd like to have you talk a little bit about it because I think they could be really cool for the day trippers out there, people that are, you know, go and park somewhere and then they're going on a hike for a couple miles out to a lake or something. Is the refrigerated backpack.
Right. Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
I'll be honest, I've been a little overwhelmed with how much new stuff we have, which has been it's super exciting, right? Like that
Yeah.
there's so much coming. So for, our ICECO, community and fans, there's a lot coming this year and even next year is already planned out. So
Wow.
there's a lot of great new products and collaborations coming, which, I can touch on a little bit later. But yeah, this new Go Pack is essentially it's called the Go Pack 12. So it's a 12-liter backpack refrigerator. Um, and I don't want to say it's a backpack necessarily. That's just what I've always called it, but it's a soft bag fridge. So essentially, it's our very first soft shell fridge that we've ever introduced into our line. We've mostly been known for doing hard shell, which is, of course, like aluminum, stainless steel, all those things. So this is really going to open up the doors for us to be able to kind of expose ourselves and cater to a new audience, kind of like what we've been talking about, where you might have those like soccer moms or, the wives that need to just kind of run and gun and they can't carry a big fridge like that. This is something that's going to be extremely portable. It's going to fit for like those ones we just talked about, like tailgating, beach trips, park trips, fishing, like taking this onto the boat and
Yeah.
taking it to, like to a lake and doing fishing trips. I just see so much potential for this everywhere. And it's got such a narrow form factor that it fits right behind like a lot of the seats in all cars. So a lot of people have been super stoked on our IPT20 model, which fits into the Raptors, but it's just too big for sort of the larger
Universal
markets.
application,
Yeah,
yeah.
we got the Tacomas, we got the Forerunners, the Jeeps, and so that model is a little bit too wide for those back seats. But this new model is going to be completely universal to really your imagination, wherever you want to put this. So yeah, there's going to be some pretty cool things. I can talk about what's going to be in the box, so that people can be prepared for that. So
Mhm.
it's going to come with a shoulder strap already in the box, so you'll be able to disconnect it quickly. Did you get a chance to see it?
I did.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that was and it was the black version, right,
Yep.
that you saw? Okay,
Mhm.
because we had two versions, but the one you saw was essentially the final version. So that one will have the shoulder strap, and you did see the backpack part, and the
Yes.
backpack part will be sold separately. So that won't be included in the box, but people have the ability of purchasing that if they need it, if they want it. Um, and then that also has the ability to work directly with the PP250. So if people need to like take this and completely be portable, you just slide in that PP250, and now you just rock and roll for like the next 6 to 8 hours with that fridge. So it's pretty
Nice.
awesome.
And
Yeah.
that PP250 is
Yeah.
essentially a battery pack, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, it's the magnetic battery pack that is essentially our patent battery pack that we use. So that's compatible with pretty much every single fridge in our line. You could just magnetize that to the side. And I've got some other exciting stuff to share as well. That there's potentially a bigger one. Not potentially, there is a bigger one coming. So
Okay.
a bigger
A bigger
PB,
battery pack.
a bigger magnetic battery pack. So
Gotcha.
um, so a lot of people have asked us about like our PB1000s, which are like the bigger sort of like Jackery style looking ones, and we've discontinued those, and we're not going to be exploring any of that. But the magnetic style is something that we are going to continue offering. It's pretty much essential in a lot of ways that I look at our setups. Just having that like small little running gun battery pack just makes the biggest difference with a lot of trips because it just keeps everything really small and compact and out of the way because then you don't have to like lug around this big 1000 battery pack or 2000. So it's pretty awesome if you can be very creative in how you set it up. You can go a long way with that battery pack. So I say 6 to 8 hours just because I want to be on the safe side of letting people know information. That's also another one that's like depending on how you're using it, what the temperature is set to.
Yeah.
So we've had people report 36 hours of using that battery pack.
Holy shit.
So on that 250 watt hour battery pack, we've had people report 36 hours or more. That's not something that we promote, but it's something that's achievable of 100% with our fridges. So you can imagine with a bigger one than the 250, which is coming soon, we can get even more than that. So
that'd be nice to have it be able to physically attach to the refrigerators. Because right now, I really like wheeling to a location, setting up camp in that location, then being there for 2 to 3 days, right? And so typically what I'll do is first thing I'll do when I get to camp, set up tent, but then I'll pull the fridge, my battery pack out, which is essentially like a Blue Eddy 500, I think it's a 600 watt hour a battery pack, and the solar panel, 100-watt solar panel, and just set them kind of off to the side in the shade somewhere, the solar panel in the sun, and that's kind of the setup. It kind of runs itself, but that's a big old battery pack. I got to get in and out of the car, and if there's something that just attached to the fridge and I could just plug the solar panel directly into the battery pack, I would simplify a lot of that process.
Absolutely. And that is another process that I always love to share to people is that, especially with that one, if you create like an ecosystem where it's constantly being powered or charged, you can really maximize that thing. Because like essentially, like you're saying, you get to the part where you're loading up your truck and then you are going to hit the road, plugging in the battery charger. So from your cigarette lighter to the battery pack, the charging cable to the battery pack, that's charging up the battery while you're driving, right? So then when you exit the car, you're going shopping, whatever you're doing, maybe you're at camp. Now the fridge is not turning off when the car turns off, because a lot of people would just plug directly into the refrigerator into the car. But like I said, that turns off the car. Now that there's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of people ask, well, is it bad for your fridges to continue turning off and on? It's not. It's just you're creating more power or consumption load, right? So now it's going to take more time and more power for it to get down to that temperature again. So we just try to eliminate as many of those times that happen, and it'll keep things as efficient as possible. So keeping a system like that where you've got from your car charging to the battery pack and the battery pack charging the fridge, so that when the car turns off, the battery pack is still staying on. And then when you get back in the car, it's still charging up the battery pack again. It just creates a very easy, very entry level experience for someone who's just getting into the game here, that they don't need to have this complex like red arc system or like, something that is a little bit more on the next levels of the stages of getting into off-roading and overlanding. This is an easy way for them to get started on that.
Yep.
How does it magnetize if your fridges are aluminum or stainless?
So on some of the fridges, so for example, like our APL 20, or I'm sorry, not APL 20, APL 35, that one has a steel sheet behind a section of the fridge. So right, it's just to the left of the ventilated section on the front of the APL 35. So if you're looking at it, this is the vent, and on this side there's a small section. You wouldn't know, but we do explain it on the website where it is. There's just like a steel plate that's behind that. It's discreet, so you don't know, and it doesn't affect the appearance of it. You just stick the magnetic battery pack on the bottom left, and now you got a place for it. For stainless steel, correct, that doesn't magnetize. On the back of our APL 35, APL 55 is the only stainless steel model that we have in our line. There's a specific section, you can't miss it. It's on the back of the fridge, and it has a cutout embossed into the steel that is the shape of the PB250. So you stick that right there. There's also a sheet behind that, and that's where you got the magnetic battery pack. Cool. But on all the other fridges, you can pretty much stick them anywhere. So that are just the sheet metal. So that's all VL models. So I'm talking about VL, the first gen, which is the big green boxes that we've had, which ironically are still really good and popular. So that's why we haven't discontinued those. But those are pretty much like tanks. Those are all sheet metal. We have a fish tank at our office that is what is it? I think it's a 40 or 60 gallon fish tank that's sitting on top of that. So it's got to be over 600 pounds sitting on that refrigerator. That thing's awesome. So we have fishes on display at our office on top of that fridge, or yeah, on top of that fridge. So, but yeah, all VL models and then VL Pros. So VL Pro is going to be the second gen of the VL. So VL Pros, VLs, JP Pros also it will work with. And then, of course, like I mentioned, APL 35, APL 55. I think the only one it doesn't really work with is APL 20. We don't have any steel sheets in the APL 20 currently.
Gotcha.
Have you ever thought about putting the battery inside the fridge somewhere? I know it would make the fridge bigger or lose internal space, but it's not then another thing that you have to concern yourself that's exterior.
It's a good question. We've got asked this plenty of times. And like I said, luckily for us, we've been on the front end of being able to try every single sort of potential when it comes to what the options could be, what we could do, and there's some reasons why we haven't done that. We've tried it before. You wouldn't know, but we've tested them. But essentially, the battery pack does a few different things when it's internal. First big thing is that it creates a shipping hazard so it creates some logistical complications when we're bringing them or making them. So when we have to ship them, like even FedEx has kind of cracked down on their like lithium ion sort of shipments. So it just creates certain complications and a longer logistical process for us to be able to get batteries in boxes to places for some reason. So that's one reason. And then the second reason is we would have to make a massive refrigerator that would house a battery big enough for you to even consider using this battery pack in your daily or in your off-road trip. Because, for example, like having a battery pack in a lot of the competitors that you see, you might only be able to get about 4 to 6 hours on a battery pack, and that's a pretty big battery pack that you're essentially giving up internal space for, and also added weight on the battery pack. Having something external, removes the need for having this like added weight. You could just easily take it off. Also removes like a sort of troubleshooting sort of situation. So if something happens electronically inside the fridge, that's another thing that we just have to like troubleshoot and look through to be able to ensure like it's not the electronics or if it's the compressor or if it's that. So when we keep it very simple, and I think that's like something that we love about most of the products that we all use here in the like off-road industry or just even daily consuming life, is like not overthinking it, right? Like let's just make it really awesome, simple, easy to use, and make it reliable. And that's something that we're pushing very strong with our brand is reliability, and being able to have that confidence that this is going to be reliable and you can use it for whatever you need to.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm a big fan of modularity stuff. It allows people that want it to get it, and still, as long as it's integrated in a really neat way, such as being able to automatically attach to 99% of the SKUs. And it also allows people that are like, I don't really need a battery pack. I'll just plug directly into whatever I have, or I already have a battery pack I can plug into.
Exactly.
It helps keep the price point down for those people too.
Sure.
So
exactly. I think you nailed it there, right? We notice a lot of people have just completely different setups every single time, which is why we try to keep things simple, like I said, and modular to what most people will have, because everyone has just different setups. And as like I said, as you're growing, you just start to build out different things and you have different needs, which is why we keep everything separated when it comes to what's inside the box. All you're really going to get is a AC and DC cable, which would be compatible with pretty much everything that is on the market. And yeah, you'll be ready to rock and roll. But we do offer options if people need them. So
nice. Dive into a little bit about the X coolers. So
okay,
like the ICECO and PRP coolers,
Sure.
or the different kinds of collabs you guys have been doing, because I think those have been really fun, and I think it's a really neat way to show the camaraderie, the creativity behind ICECO, and some of the cool things you guys are doing within the industry.
Yeah, I think this is a neat story for me to share. So this ties a little bit back into my history that I was mentioning about music. So, obviously a very common thing to do in the music industry is collaborate with different artists and, like, hey, let's get you featured on this track. And so that was just something we just normally did. And so I took a lot of the essence of that and brought that to what I'm doing here. And so this all started off with Baja Designs. And so those guys, really close to those dudes, love what they do. Obviously, they make some really great products, really, really highly respected. And like a lot of our brands here in the industry, they're all constantly doing shows. And I think Baja probably has one of the highest um, or craziest schedules, in the industry. I think they're doing I think they have like 80 to 90 shows that they attend a year, which is insane. I think ICECO, we only do like 5 or 7 shows a year. So to do 90, you're pretty much out like multiple times a month. You're pretty much, yeah.
I was talking a little bit with Wes, and he goes, I'm on the road 40, 45 weeks a year. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
It's insane. You're on the road constantly. So, of course, those guys need refreshments. They got a pretty big team too. So like they get guys that come in and out of the trailer, especially for example, like King of the Hammers. I think this is where this all came to fruition. You're out there for 3 weeks at a time. You 100% need refreshments while you're out there to keep your team going, and possibly even to hand out drinks for your customers who are hanging out and spending time in your booth. So the idea came from that. So I talked with Kyle down there, which is pretty much show lead for all the guys, and I told Kyle, I was like, look, dude, let's get you guys a fridge and get you guys taken care of. But instead of doing just something generic where I just give you a fridge, why don't we do something cool for you guys where it makes sense why the fridge is there in your booth? So, let's get it branded with Baja. Like, let's do a custom one-off Baja fridge. Why don't you send me some lights and let's make this really cool, because then now your product is integrated into our product. So it's basically like you're already promoting your brand while having this cool piece of art or a cool functional piece of art in front of your booth that you can use. So that's exactly what we did. So myself, and I give a lot of credit to Hayden. So shout out to Hayden on our team. He does a lot of our customer support and warranty side of things, but he handles a lot of things on the dealer side. So a lot of our listeners who are out here, if you get a chance to talk to Hayden, he's super awesome, and he's definitely going to take care of you. But he's just super, super handy when it comes to everything that's like custom in our facility. So he's not paid to do it, but he loves to do it. So me and Hayden, I'm more of the idea guy. So I've been like, hey, Hayden, like, this is what I'm thinking. How can we do it? How can we make this come to life? And it's almost like what are those shows, right? It's like a West Coast like chopper situation, or West Coast Customs. It's like or even like Gas Monkey Garage. I'm like yo, like, this is what I want to do. Make this crazy idea come together. And he's like, yeah, all right, cool. And he starts welding things together. And so we made a custom. We custom welded a trolley. It's on 14-inch casters, so it's like a monster truck fridge. Yeah. The reason why we did that was because for events like King of the Hammers, they're rolling this fridge through this big open desert with these huge rocks. So we wanted it to be portable, but still functional, but really cool. So we custom wrapped it with a partner of ours called Beyond Wraps. So shout out to Marvin. And we got we got rock lights all over it. So there's 4 rock lights on the top, and there's underglow on the bottom, 2 rock lights. We custom plumbed that through the installation of the fridge. Took weeks for us to do that. I think out of all the fridges that we've ever done, that one's been the most intricate and time consuming fridge, and have had constant sort of troubleshooting or hiccups from the electrical, because we have to get the wire so thin that it can plumb through the insulation. But not too thin to where it can't handle the circuit, or handle the watts that are going through there. So it's been a constant like struggle with that one. But we have 2 current ones in existence, 3 total Baja fridges. So one is an APL35. So if you ever see that one's extremely rare, but that one's sitting, I think, in their office somewhere. That one's a beautiful fridge. But then the other ones that are taken out to shows are going to commonly be the big boys, which are the VL45s. So it's a custom one-off fridge, and that's sort of snowballed into like what we've seen today, and what you guys have all, what you're kind of mentioning. We've had collabs like King Shocks, where we've thrown like reservoirs on the side of the refrigerator and piped in the reservoir tubes into the fridge, just to make it look cool. We got stuff with Warren and Factory 55, where we got a winch coming out. I've got some pretty cool ones. This is just to name a few, like R1 Concepts, Carvin Exhaust. We got a full exhaust kit a dump kit coming out of the ventilation. It's fully functional. It's meant to expel. Yeah. So, the idea has been to like throw a keg in there and have it like dispense out of the exhaust tip. So it's a project we haven't got back around to, but yeah, we've just thought about doing some cool things, and I've got some more cool projects. I've got a whole list right here in front of me on the on the desk here of like pending like projects that are still going on. So there's a queue for, I think, even you guys, hint, hint, we're working on something for Morphlate. So yeah, we've got tons of pending projects here, and they've been just super exciting, and they're just more for fun. They're not for sale, which I think a lot of people have been super stoked about trying to get something like that. But maybe in the near future, there'll be opportunities, which can lead into the next section, which we do a lot of licensing now. So that's been a big part of like my main focus, and a lot of new things that are coming for ICECO is we've seen just a huge excitement for our brand with other brands that are in the performance world. So bridging the gap between performance and lifestyle has been something that we've been working on with other brands. And so won't touch on too many of the brands that are coming, but I can mention some that one that is coming very soon. So we do have something coming for the Jeep guys, coming very soon for that. Hopefully by the time this interview airs, we should be pretty much ready to launch. But yeah, we've got a full Jeep X ICECO refrigerator coming out for those dudes. And then later this year, tease, we're coming out with a full licensed project with a big tire brand, is all I can say.
Okay.
So you have to take your pick on which one that will be, but it's coming soon.
Nice. Yeah. That's pretty rad. It's fun to see when companies like to do these collaborations within the industry, because I think that we're in a very unique industry. Jimmy and I talk about it all the time, where it's a really fun industry, but it's the biggest little industry that's out there. Like,
absolutely.
I think market cap for off-roading is a huge part of the outdoor recreation industry. But like, everybody is just here to kind of have fun and make cool products and hang out and go wheeling with each other, right? And so these brand collabs on the fridge side of stuff, it just kind of exemplifies that. And I think it's really cool to see that in action, knowing about the industry and how the customers like to interact, and seeing that really the people behind the brands are just like the customers, where they just want to hang out and have a good time and goof off and go wheeling and play around, right? It's fun to see companies exemplifying that demeanor as well. So
it's exactly what you're saying. It's an epitome of the relationships that we have, right? So it's our brands. It's like literally us just like sitting around a campfire and having a few drinks, or just meeting up at a bar while we're at different shows, and we're just like, yo, man, I love your shit. Like, let's do something cool together. Like, let's do something together. Like we're doing some cool stuff. Like let's just do cool things. That's essentially the whole idea of this, and why we do this is to be able to deliver something exciting for our customers. And they're enthusiasts about all these different brands. They love all the brands, and just being able to make that connection, it's just like that wow aha moment for them, where they're like, wow, that's so cool, I really want to get something like that, and support both of the brands that we will love working with. So yeah, we're just super stoked about keeping that creativity and just keeping the partnerships rolling, and yeah, just working together. And I think that's exactly, it's that big small brand, or big small world, right? It's such a small community that we have, but it's a tight knit one, and I think it's very different than any other community I've ever experienced in my professional career. Like, it's very different from the music industry. It's different from like the clothing industry. I think that like off-road industry has been one of the most friendliest and awesome and supportive industries I've ever got a chance to experience. So that's something I've been super stoked on, and why we continue to do this.
Yeah, I agree. It's a really cool industry to be a part of. What other kind of fun stuff are you guys looking at coming out with? Anything you can tease the listener?
Well, you got a Kickstarter program that's going on right now with what is it, the VL45 Plus?
Correct. Yeah. That is a new product that we are launching here, or it has been launched at this point. So it's a new fridge that has been gaining so much excitement. I think I've been very surprised about how much people have been wanting this, and I didn't really know that people needed something like this. But because we've had drawer fridges before, in sort of our RV line, but we've kind of meshed those two ideas, you know, like a drawer fridge and a VL45 had a baby, and now we have the VL45 Plus, you know, so,
Okay.
you know, and it's been like a mind blown for people. And they're like, oh my God, you know, like this is exactly what we've been waiting for. So we're super pumped that, you know, we've had so much support already for the excitement around this refrigerator. So I could talk about, of course, like some of the details of it and why we got around to doing something like this. Of course, from popular demand and sort of the excitement of having a drawer pool. But I think we've all been there, right? Like I've explained, we've all been in the situation where we've had a very basic setup. We didn't have all the knickknacks that we have nowadays. We've all been in a place where we've thrown our refrigerator or thrown our cooler into the back of our cars or our trucks, and then we're just stuffing things anywhere that we can find a space, right? You know, we're tossing sleeping bags, we're tossing, right? And I'm sure we still do to this day, right? We still do that to this day. You know, when I'm trying to pack up, I'm just finding any spot that I can find. And so, you know, sometimes we get to a point where there's stuff on top of our refrigerator or on top of our cooler, and we got to pretty much move everything out of the way to be able to get to that, right? So, the great thing about this new model is that it keeps a lot of the essence of what people already originally loved about the VO45, which is the double opening lids, right? You can open it from the left, or you can open it from the right, or you can take off the whole thing, which is great. But now you have the front door access, right? Because now, let's say you are stuffing things all over the place, you still have the ability of still accessing your fridge from the front. So definitely kind of more geared towards our general consumer market, our entry level peeps out there. You know, maybe they got like a RAV4 or just like something very small and they're just getting into the game and they don't have like a crazy expensive drawer system or, you know, even a fridge slide, right? This is like combining that, the ability to do that is like you could just throw this in, drop down the door, and this whole tray slides out. So it's like
Mhm.
having a built-in fridge slide
Yeah.
inside of your fridge. So
Yeah.
it's just being able to tackle a few of those like essential needs, right? And we're seeing those needs, and we pay attention to our listeners, our fans, and our community to see what is exactly like gonna solve solutions or solve problems for them when they're out road tripping or they're doing things. How can we better address those things? So that's an answer. This is an answer to something that we found. So yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, it's that one. I saw the advertisement. I don't know if it was just being teased somewhere. I don't remember where I saw it, but I was like, "Oh, that's fucking clever." That's
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
would be amazing because I always have to use up my whole back seat for the fridge because I need to make sure that I can still open the top of it, right?
Right.
And I'm not going to stack up a ton of stuff in the back seat right next to the kid, so I just put the fridge there. Now with this, you can kind of put the softer stuff there next to the kid, the sleeping bag, the bags of clothes and stuff, and then have the fridge in the back and still pack shit around it and just open up the front of it and pull your integrated fridge slide out of the fridge to get
Absolutely.
access to your drinks and your food and stuff. It's pretty brilliant.
It's been awesome. I think like there's a few situations that I see this being heavily used in. You know, of course, like you mentioned, like let's just say we have I don't know, like a full size truck, like an F-150. Maybe you have like a platform in the back of your truck. You know, if you open up your door, you still have the ability of being able to access that from the side of your door and being able to drop down the door and pull out the whole tray. Or if you're inside your car, right, like your passenger can still access it from the top, the side lid. So you're not limited by the orientation or the direction or wherever you place it now. You have three access points on this refrigerator. And especially once we're starting to even get into the more experienced guys, like let's say you got like a GFC or one of those like tuned campers, you know, where you have access to the wing, like
Mhm.
gold
Mhm.
doors or gold wings on the side. This is extreme. I see this speaking heavily to those guys already because, you know, for the guys who would just throw this right on the tailgate, you don't have to jump into your truck anymore to access your fridge, right? You could just access it from the
Open the
front.
gull wing, pull
Yeah.
the slide out. Yeah.
Or like you're saying from the gold wing. So you could just open the gold wing from the side and jump into it through the top. Or if you're at the tailgate, you don't have to jump in. You just pull down the front door. Or if you're inside the car and you're camping in it, you still have access to it from the inside of the camper.
Yeah.
So you've got three ways of access on that particular setup. You throw it on the bottom left or the bottom right of your camper, and that's going to be like the best way to maximize that fridge for those dudes. So I
Yeah.
see it being heavily used in that market. But yeah, of course, very common. I think it's going to be a real problem solver for like our entry level consumers too. So
Yeah, it's really cool. So
Yeah.
that is out on Kickstarter. It went live. Let's see, this is airing on Monday, so last Wednesday.
Yeah, June 10th.
June 10th is when it went out on Kickstarter. So if people want to get in on that, it's what do they search on Kickstarter? VL45?
VL45 Plus, I'm sure you can find that on our main website as well. So if you jump onto our main website, you'll see the Kickstarter. I'll be honest, at the time this airs, I don't even know if there'll be any availability. We're seeing a heavy traffic for this, and we're potentially gonna sell out of those spots for the
Wow.
Kickstarter.
Wow.
But the other way of being able to potentially purchase this would be through a dealer. So if you go to like your local dealer or distributor, we have some really awesome ones on different sides of the country here. So we got OK Four-Wheel Drive on the East Coast. We've got Iceberg. We've got Rhino Adventure Gear. We've got Cap It up in Canada. So we've got some really great guys down here that can really help assist with being able to get you a refrigerator. But you can reach out to your local dealer, and I'm sure they can find a way to access it.
Nice. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Any other fun projects you guys got coming out you want to tease everybody with?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, we have VL45 Plus. That'd be the first order of business. The next thing behind that is going to be sort of a stack of different things. And I don't know the order yet of when they're coming out. But it's going to be a lot of exciting things in almost like 1 month. So we've got Jeep X ICECO coming up, and that's going to be based off the APL 35 platform, and it's reskinned essentially to pay homage to the heritage of Jeep. So it's based off the 1941 drab green Willys colorway. So the old
Nice.
army colors from the old Willys. We paid homage there, and you're gonna see that, and it's really clean, and it's got a rustic premium feel to it. So it's got leather accents that are on it too. So it's got a green with a little bit of leather like offset. It's a really beautiful fridge. Even some of our Toyota guys who've got some sneak peeks of it, they're like, dude, that thing is beautiful. I'm just gonna stick a sticker on it and cover up the logo, because they're just like, because it's just a beautiful color. It's like a flat green colorway. So it's super awesome. New one coming down the pipeline here in the next, I would say, month or two. So people can get excited for that one. Go Pack is also on the heels here at some point in this timeline as well, and within the next month or two we should be able to see some information about the Go Pack coming out. So yeah, that one's it's a water resistant packaging, or essentially skin. It's not waterproof just because of the compressor, but essentially it is a water resistant packaging that you get with that guy. And like I said, it comes with a shoulder bag. Even on the inside, it has a multi-layer organization system. So it's not like just throwing everything into just like an open shell. Like I think you might have saw it. It was just an open
container, I guess.
So now it has a multi organization system in there. So
nice.
You'll be able to essentially have 2 layers of organization in that. So it's like almost like a steel like wire organizer. It's like a platform inside there in the middle. So you'll be able to put like drinks at the bottom and put your foods on top, so that your drinks aren't getting crushed by, or your food's not getting crushed by things. So yeah, you'll be able to organize in that one pretty well now, versus just an open basket. And then there is something I will tease. I will give everyone a heads up on it, that there is an even smaller and potentially even our lowest offering when it comes to price point coming in this year. So it should be around that 20-liter price range, or 20-liter size, but we'll be at a very what's the word, like eyebrow raising for ICECO, right? For ICECO, because when we talk about ICECO is a premium offering that we do here. It's meant to be the most premium refrigerator that we can build. So anytime we talk about it, we're using the best of the best when it comes to the quality, the internals. So for me to even see what I saw, it's very eyebrow raising. I think it will generate a lot of excitement for people who want to just take things out for like sort of a small day tripping fridge. It's a different fridge. Like I said, it's going to be a different material. So we can see some excitement for that one this year. That's all I can say. It will be in our Go series. That's all I can say. It's going to be in our Go series, sort of like SKUs. So we have APLs, we have VL Pros, we have Go series, and we have JPs. So
Okay.
it'll be in that category.
Cool.
All right.
When are you guys doing a refrigerated fanny pack?
I mean, I feel like the Go Pack is the closest thing to that, right? So, but that, yeah, I don't know.
Carry
Yeah, I'll have to pitch that.
I just want one beer to stay refrigerated around my waist.
Ironically speaking, on that, I'm a very creative guy. Even when it comes to a lot of things that I do here with ICECO, I try to take the lead on being creative and presenting new ideas, and even doing a lot of the R&D myself in a lot of ways. There's been just like some interesting things that I've been wanting to test and wanting to get into. Like I said, I have this upbringing in racing. I feel like racing started a lot of things for everything. It was sort of like the universal starting point for everything, right? Like racing birthed everything that we see now. Everything's a subcategory of what racing was. Like overlanding, rock crawling, pre-running, all these different things have generated from the idea of taking a car and modifying it and being able to take it to the extreme, right? So we've seen these subcategories come from that. And so I have a really strong sort of like belief and excitement to be able to continue supporting our racing community. So there's been some ideas that I've been kind of like pitching around to be able to get a refrigerator small enough to where it's essentially just the compartment of the refrigerator. It's just a small box essentially. The compressor is still there, but it's not big enough to have any sort of drinks or any big drinks or food. It's meant to just be a cooling compartment where we can then pipe cold air to like our racers.
Interesting.
That's something that I'm working on, sort of like exploring the ideas of, and because we
fire suit AC system.
Almost, right? Because some of our racers have been like, hey, can we drill holes in the lid and pipe cold air into our race suits or even to our cars? And because they're like, they're trying to take advantage of everything they have on board. They're like, we got this refrigerator that has cold air. It's got cold food and drinks for the day when we're pre-running. But how do we get that air to us? Because we need it, on these like hot race days.
Ooh, that's what I need.
So,
yeah.
right. So, because like a lot of these more, and this is not going to just be for like Ultra 4, Ultra 4 guys, this could be for like UTVs. I'm working with PRP to find solutions on what we can do there, whether it's through the seats or whether it's through helmets. So yeah, working on different solutions. That's going to take a little bit more time for me to iron out, but just to give you guys an idea of like what's processing in my head, where I'm going with things.
That's pretty freaking clever if you think about it. I mean, a lot of racing technology nowadays, we have a ton of performance stuff, but a lot of the technology nowadays comes down to elongating the driver's performance, right? So the leaps and bounds we've made in suspension in the past just 10 years, yeah, it has a lot to do with performance, but it has a lot to do with keeping the driver comfortable so they can last longer and pay more attention and react quicker, right? If you can take like the Baja 1000 or the Mint 400 or Vegas to Reno, these long distance races, Dakar, in hot, harsh environments, and make the drivers cool and more clear with their thinking because they're cooler temperatured, that's a massive advantage, I think.
Right. And yeah, I didn't realize that this was a big deal, but some of these accessories or these parts are pretty expensive. Like to have like a sort of like a compact sort of cooling system can be thousands of dollars for people. Like I'm talking about like $3,000 to $5,000 when it comes to like some of these more intricate systems, or even if it's something a little bit more simpler. Sometimes it's either just air that's being fed to you and it's just the ambient temperature outside, which can be hot, or sometimes they're used with like ice cubes, right? Like they'll put like ice cubes into like a canister that is able to feed or pipe air. But like I said, that's just
blows air over the ice cubes essentially.
Yeah. But that will only last for so long, right? So, so I've seen some like need to be able to support guys, and I'm constantly testing things here and there. So, yeah, that's the cool thing I think with my position is I get to physically go out to some of these events and some of these different races or particular situations where we can take it to the extreme. And essentially, like if I can prove that this thing is working at a race as extreme as King of the Hammers, it's definitely going to work on an overland trail or
Yeah.
wherever you're taking it, with your family. So, and that's something that we want to prove is that a lot of what we're doing holds up to the quality of what we say what we are manufacturing and producing, and showing the extremes of what it's actually capable of. And I think that's what those races are meant to do. Is like it's like a stage for the manufacturers to prove that their quality actually speaks to what they promote.
Yeah.
So that's exactly why we are a part of these sort of like different sponsorships or collaborations, is to continue showing that we're innovative and we're staying true to the quality and keeping that that relationship with our customers and our racers. So something super awesome I've been excited to be a part of. So
that's pretty cool, man. Thank you so much. We're pretty far into the interview today. It's been a lot of fun chatting with you about different stuff. If people have more questions, I don't want to say concerns, but questions in general about ICECO, about some of the product stuff, where should they go to get those answered?
Yep. So of course, if you're going to purchase anything, you're going to have to go to icecofreezer.com. As far as customer service, we do have our customer service line that's attached to that as well on the website. But if you do need a more personal experience, working with our dealers actually tends to be really efficient and a little bit quicker. So go and support your local small businesses that are around. Work with our dealers. And then we will get a little bit more tailored support because it's a part of our job to help support them. So there's a little bit of a larger catch-all when it comes to the website, but we do a really good job of being able to cater to everyone. But yeah, go and support local businesses around us. That's something that's essential for our well-being here in the United States. So yeah, hopefully that answers everything. If you ever need to reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram. I've got my personal FJ Gypsy. Come follow what I do. I sometimes tease out little things as well. But yeah, I'm an avid off-roader myself, so I've got my FJ. I've got my own page, and I share things on my side. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you. If people have questions, you want to route them through us, we have the voicemail listener line. We can get them over to David and maybe get him back on to answer some of the questions. If people want to reach out on Instagram, Jimmy, how can they do that?
Yeah, you can find me over at SnailTrail4x4 and Tyler's over at 4x4 Toyota Tyler. You can also email us, Jimmy or Tyler, at SnailTrail4x4.com.
Cool. So we'll wrap this guy up here. I like to kind of put everybody on the spot at the end of shows and be like, hey, what's your closing last words here? And it could be one word, it could be what you had for lunch, could be what your favorite drink is on the trail, something, whatever you want to leave the listeners with. The last thing, Jimmy's used to it, so we'll make him go first. So
yeah, first of all, I want to say thanks, David, for taking the time out of the day to join us. It was a lot of fun chatting with you and learning about ICECO. One of the things that came up in the conversation, though, that kind of just made me realize, or I just sort of came to the realization, is that with a cooler, you're always worried about your ice, right? And you're like, do I have enough ice? Is my ice gone? Is it just water? Like,
ice stress.
Ice stress. That's a great, that's marketing 101 right there. And now with fridges, it's not a concern. Maybe there's the, like battery, like you have to concern yourself with the battery, but it's not ice anymore and you don't have to worry about it. It's a different thing, and it's a concern, and that concern has been wiped with fridges. And I didn't really have that realization until this conversation. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's just
I'm glad I could
a
help.
thing that you no longer have to worry about.
Yeah.
Sweet. I mean, to your point, it actually triggered my, it's a very PR thing for me to say, but you saying that you're stressed, limiting that stress. I think the last words that I'll leave it off is one of our new slogans now, which is stay relaxed, stay reliable. So that's essentially what we're talking about, right? It's like we just want to be able to make a product that keeps you relaxed, keeps you going while keeping the same reliability, and continue to push that innovation. So stay relaxed and stay reliable.
I like it a lot. And with that, my friends, keep crawling.